Hey y'all, I'm Parker.
And I'm Dre.
And this is the Disney Cellar.
And today we're doing things a little bit differently.
Correct. We are not going to be breaking down a piece of our collection or filling you in on a fun bit of Disney history, but there's a reason for that. And it's because we just rode every single ride at Disneyland in one day, and we have to talk to you guys about it.
It was intense.
It was a lot. I think a lot more than either of us were expecting. We knew it would be a lot, but it was a lot. And there's things that we knew, there's things that we thought we knew, and there are things that we definitely didn't know, and we want to tell you all about it. So we'll start by giving you our brief plan of what we thought we were going to do going into it. Then we'll jump right into how our day actually went, with detailed notes and timekeeping, of course. And then we'll end with just some last remarks, some tips and tricks, and just some things we picked up along the way that if we ever try to do this again, and I don't know if we will, but we might. Then we'll definitely do the next time around. So first and foremost, we had to have a plan going in. So we got ourselves a trusty little map from the parks, and we started trying to figure out what was the best way to move through the space as efficiently as possible without backtracking too much, because we didn't want to spend the whole day walking. We wanted to spend the most of our day either in lines for rides or on rides themselves.
Yeah, and so we originally thought, let's start Galaxy's Edge.
Rise of the Resistance. Classic rope drop. Everybody does it, but obviously there are issues with Rise. It shuts down a lot, and you can wait up to 2 hours in a queue for Rise. So we figured we'd knock that one out first. Then we wanted to sort of conquer Batuu and our Star Wars land before quickly dipping down to Big Thunder Mountain, because that can sort of block up a little bit as well. And then we wanted to move over to Fantasyland. And then what was next?
Toontown.
Toontown was going to be next. And then we were going to kind of mop our way through Tomorrowland before jumping all the way across the park, down in the bayou to Bayou Country, and then kind of picking up everything else through Adventureland on our way back to Main Street.
We'll see if we can put this, on the video as well.
Yeah, we also filmed some clips that I'll try to throw in as we talk about how our day went. We filmed a before and an after on each ride, and I also filmed a little bit of ride footage of each.
Be patient with us, though.
When we could. But we'll try to toss that in as well to give you an idea of what our thoughts were in the moment. But I guess let's dive right into it.
Rope drop.
Yes. So we parked at the Toy Story and Friends parking lot. We showed up at around 6:40 in the morning, I think it was.
We were the second group
of
cars.
We were like third in row for parking.
It was insane.
We are currently in line for the Toy Story parking lot. It is 6:44 in the morning, and we are going to go to Disneyland and ride every single ride that's open.
Let's go.
Why don't you come with us? They let us in not early, but right on time at 7 a.m. We were parked by 7:05, and then it took us 5 minutes to go through security over at Toy Story and Friends.
If that.
Yeah, if that, before jumping then the 5-minute bus ride over to the parks, and we were in line for the park at about 7:25.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Pretty early. I mean, as early as we have ever really been there. We rope dropped, but this was...
But this was intense.
Yeah, we were getting ready. We were getting ready for war here.
Yeah.
So then the park ticketing gates opened right up at 7:30. We were in line for rope drop, I would say no later than about 7:35 in the morning. And we were right at the rope. We were front of the line there with our eyes set directly on that Adventureland entrance. No, Frontierland entrance.
Frontierland, because it's the quickest way to Galaxy's Edge.
If you're rope dropping Rise, people, you have to go Frontierland, then you pass Thunder, and then you make that hard left over to Rise of the Resistance. Don't be fooled.
No.
Don't go past the Haunted Mansion
Don't
through
do all
Adventureland.
that. It takes too long. People always go that way. It's just, don't do it. Don't.
Thank you. All right, we made it to the rope. First stop, Rise of the Resistance. So, 8 a.m., right on the dot, the rope dropped. It did not drop early, but minutes before the rope was going to drop, we did a little bit of eavesdropping and overheard a cast member speaking to another family that Rise of the Resistance had a delayed opening.
Yeah.
We just found out that Rise is closed, so we're going to start with Big Thunder Mountain. Thunder Mountain's going to be number 1, then we'll try Rise for 2.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if this is a new phenomenon in the park. It certainly is happening a lot more frequently, especially as we've been rope dropping more. We've been seeing a lot more of this, is they have delayed openings for certain rides. What that means is the ride is still going to open. It's still going to be available that day, but it's not going to be open right at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Cast members will not give you a specific time frame. They won't tell you if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or half an hour or more, but certain rides do have a delayed opening, and Rise of the Resistance had a delayed opening on this morning.
Yes, it did. So that delayed us,
Yeah.
to say simply.
So the decision was made to immediately head towards Big Thunder Mountain.
Big pivot.
I'll see if I can roll a clip here.
Rolling.
Are we first?
Yeah.
Haha! First one's on Big Thunder. Front row on Big Thunder Mountain, ride number 1. All right, that was ride number 1, front row on Big Thunder Mountain. Now we're gonna go check out Rise and see if it's open. All right, so we headed over to Big Thunder Mountain and we were literally the first.
So cool. In all my years, never been first in line for Big Thunder at that hour.
Yeah.
Never.
So we got escorted by a cast member
So
all the way to the front of the line. We got to ride first front row on Big Thunder Mountain. And that was about a 5-minute ride. But like I said, we were at the ride at just after 8 a.m. and we must have been through the ride by about 8:07, 8:10, somewhere in that. Because then we made our way over to Rise of the Resistance to check in on how their delayed opening was doing. And we were promptly met by that very long line you'll sometimes see that backs up all the way to the Ronto Wrap station. So it turns out Rise was open, but now the line is over an hour, so we're gonna go to Smugglers and then probably Fantasyland. So that clearly was not gonna happen. We were on a tight schedule, so we made our second pivot of the day and made our way over to Smugglers Run. Roll the clip.
Are we all in? Good, good, good. For those who don't know me, I am Hondo Onaka, and welcome to my completely legitimate shipping company, Onaka Transport Solutions.
So, Smuggler's Run, the wait was maybe, what, 5 minutes? It was basically
an
a walk-on.
estimated 5-minute queue, but I mean, basically the queue takes 5 minutes to walk through anyway. It was a walk-on for us, and we were first into our cockpit, so we both got to drive pilot.
I'm a fantastic driver.
There's evidence. Roll the clip.
Move your stick to fly right and left. I was just about to say that. Pilot on the right. Pull back on the stick to fly out. And push forward to fly down.
But
Like I said, I'm a fantastic driver. It was all him that had the issues.
anyway, Smugglers was super, super quick. We were, in line for Smugglers at 8:15, and then by 8:30, we had decided to make our way back over to Rise, because as we were exiting the ride Smugglers Run, we checked that app. Always, always, always check the app, people. It is your best friend, and it's as reliable as anything to let you know what the queue time is at any ride around the park. It said Smugglers was only 25 minutes, not the hour we'd been told just 10 minutes prior. So it was time to go ride Rise. All right, so quick update. The line for Rise is not an hour. The line for Rise is only 45 minutes, which means it's probably only half an hour to the pre-show. So now we're in line for Rise, like we should have been this morning, but we've already done 2 rides, Big Thunder and Smugglers. This makes 3. All rides in one day. Let's do it.
Star Destroyers. We can't. We're caught in a trap.
The Resistance prisoners.
You have what I want.
Find an alternate route. Who picked these two droids anyway?
The prisoners have escaped.
How brave, but ultimately hopeless.
There's nowhere to run. Lieutenant back here. Back? Still alive? I should hope so. Great job, recruits. Thanks to your heroism, the location of the Resistance base is secure.
Right. Now, one thing I'll talk right here about very quickly is there is a big difference, people, between line time and ride time.
Yes.
You'll see this especially over in Fantasyland and with a lot of the newer rides like Rise. A lot of the new rides take a long time not to just queue it, but to ride it. Whereas in Fantasyland, a lot of your rides are only about 2 minutes long. I think the shortest is Mr. Toad, which is 1 minute and 55 seconds I clocked it at this
That
time.
sucker goes so fast.
But Rise is a long ride. From the time that you're in the hologram room with BB-8 and Rey to where you're finally exiting your car, walking through the exit, that's about a 15-minute experience. So when you're mapping and planning out your day, just make sure to account for that time because we certainly did not.
Nope.
Okay, guys, so that was ride number 3. Our first ride was Big Thunder Mountain. Then we went to Smuggler's Run, and then now Rise. Now we're headed over to Fantasyland to try to knock out that entire section of the park. But
We're
it's still
coming for ya.
It's still early. It's just after 9, so 3 rides in the first hour, but big ones, not bad. But now we're going to do some damage at Fantasyland. Here we go. But at this point in our schedule, our plan.
Still good.
Yeah, our plan was to do Batu and then Thunder. Instead, we did Thunder and then Batu, and now it was time to make our way over to Fantasyland because we knew we had a lot of work to do there.
So we went to Peter Pan.
Roll the clip. All right, so Dre just checked, and Peter Pan is only 35 minutes long, which is probably as good as it's ever going to be with its rider number per hour. So Pan first, then the rest of Fantasyland.
Let's go.
Here we go. All right, Peter Pan's flight makes number 4. Line doesn't look too bad, but it says it's about 35 minutes. Guess we'll find out.
Come on, everybody. Here we go. There it is, Wendy. We're right.
And once Peter Pan was done, we knew immediately we had to jump just across the way over to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Where we were met with a 10-minute wait, which we were so excited about.
Things were going well.
And then we were almost to the front, one other family in front of us, and
it closed down. Now, this is important to remember about all Fantasyland attractions and just all the rides in general. There are going to be breakdowns, there are going to be delays. Sometimes it might be worth it to hang out because it could just be a couple minutes, but sometimes it could be a lot longer than that. But especially in Fantasyland, a lot of these attractions are, you know, very early in Disneyland's history, if not opening day attractions. And so they do break down from time to time. It happens. Please practice patience with the cast members. It's not their fault. But Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was unfortunately shut down. So we had a big decision to make.
hop over the railing and go to the next thing.
Roll the clip.
Rolling.
All right, so we just rode Peter Pan, so that was number 4. So it went Big Thunder, and then Smugglers, and then Rise, and then Pan, and then now we're in line for Snow White, so Snow White is 5. All right, they just turned the work lights on at Snow White, so we think it's closing, but we'll find out. So they did close Snow White, which was going to be number 5.
We were second in line.
We were literally at the front, but we don't want to wait any longer, so we're going to see what else is open in the Fantasyland area, and it looks like it's going to be Pinocchio. So Pinocchio's number 5, and we'll try to double back to Snow White once it reopens. Yeah, so we decided not to wait for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and instead we decided it was time to go ride Pinocchio, which is right next door to Snow White, so not a long walk. We went to Pinocchio, rode Pinocchio.
Roll the clip.
Maybe there's a clip.
An actor's life for me.
Hey, look out for Monstro!
And then after Pinocchio, we checked back in with Snow White. Snow White was still closed, so very glad we didn't wait around for that. But another ride that can queue for a very long time because it's a very popular attraction and an opening day attraction, Matterhorn bobsleds. So we decided to hightail it from Pinocchio, abandon the Fantasyland strategy because we already knew we had to come back. And did we try to ride Mr. Toad before then?
We were in line. So no, okay. Before bobsleds, we were in line for Mr. Toad, and it shut down.
Yeah, we went from Pinocchio to Toad.
We had so many shutdowns that day. It was like...
Roll the next clip. Well, today is just not our day. Mr. Toad's has just broken down. He was going to be number 6, so we're gonna ditch everything. We're gonna head over to Matterhorn and hope that doesn't break down. And if all else fails, we'll cover all of the Alice in Wonderland rides and then make our way back to Fantasyland before huffing it out to Toontown.
Plan's not working.
Hey, you gotta roll with the punches, guys. But yes, so we went from Pinocchio to Mr. Toad's queue.
Yes.
And while we had just started, so we didn't wait for very long.
It was like 2 minutes into the wait.
Unfortunately, Mr. Toad also shut down. So then we went over to Matterhorn bobsleds.
And that was a wait. That wasn't too bad.
I think we have another clip. Roll a clip. Okay, so I was today years old when I learned that it is impossible to fill Matterhorn with a gimbal. But we did Matterhorn, that's number 6. Now we're headed over to Teacups because our rides per hour is just really dropping off and I'm getting worried about the day. So we'll do Teacups and then, who knows, we might just pull a mulligan and head over to Toontown and just get that cleared out. But it does look like Snow White opened back up. So who knows, Teacups are next because that's a 5-minute wait. But no, Matterhorn bobsleds was very, very quick. And in fact, for single riders, which we hadn't been doing single riders, but single riders were literally walking on to the ride. But we got to be front row and we queued really quick.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
So according to my times, we had Thunder Mountain at 8 a.m., Smuggler's Run at 8:15. Then we had Rise of the Resistance at 8:30. Peter Pan, we were in the queue at 9:15. We had started queuing for Snow White at 9:44. That didn't work out. Then we were in Pinocchio at 10 a.m., Matterhorn by 10:16 a.m.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, pretty close.
And then we were able to ride that, and...
We rode Matterhorn, and then we tried to go back to Fantasyland because we still wanted to finish Fantasyland, ideally before moving on to Tomorrowland, but that didn't work as planned either. We did, however, make our way over to Teacups, and the Teacups were a walk-on.
It was a walk-on. How often does that happen
so
on Teacups?
Unless you're the Kardashians, and then it's always a walk-on, apparently.
That's true.
Too soon? Too soon. Teacups. It's a birthday party. Have fun. Or an unbirthday party. Still have fun. But we walked right onto Teacups. After Teacups, we checked back in on our friends Snow White and Mr. Toad. No luck there. So it was time for another pivot. We also saw, this was one of the last days, if not the last day, for the holiday theming for It's a Small World. Yes. And that was only a 10-minute wait. So we decided to walk over to Small World, and we hit Small World next.
Roll the clip.
All right, well, plans are falling apart fast. Snow White is reopened, but now Snow White's a 20-minute, and Toad is reopened, but Toad is now a 15-minute. So I think we're just gonna head over to Small World before Small World gets worse than the 10 minutes it already is. And then we're gonna see what our lives look like after that.
See you at Small World.
See you after that. I really hope there's clips.
I hope so, because then I look like an idiot.
We'll publish this full ride list also, just in case there's no clips, but there's definitely clips.
There should be.
Wasn't that a great clip? So, after It's a Small World, we already knew that Fantasyland was going to be a situation we had to deal with later, so instead we wanted to move all the way up to Toontown and get another land knocked out, just like we'd already knocked out Batu.
So we went with Roger Rabbit.
Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Classic.
the ride. Yes, such a good ride. The queue was pretty short. It was only about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But okay, so we just did a small world, basically a walk-on. Now we're heading up to Toontown because we're already here and we just want to knock out. We want to knock out this whole section of the park. So yeah, we're going to start with Roger and then maybe some of the kids' rides and then see if we can end up with Runaway, but the line for Runaway is getting long, so we'll see how it goes.
Holy smokes, Roger! We've been there!
How is it possible that you boys walk by?
Well, Roger Rabbit just broke down on us. We're still going to count it because we made it most of the way through the ride. We at least got on the ride vehicle this time. We have not counted Snow White or Mr. Toad's, which also broke down on us. But this is number 3 for today, guys. But ride 9, not 10, it was 9. And 2 things happened at that point. We did have to be evacuated off the ride, so we don't have footage of that because they don't let you film when you have to walk backstage after evacuating the ride vehicle.
Just to say really quick, so cool.
It is an interesting
So
experience.
cool.
I had never been evacuated off a ride from a ride vehicle,
Rookie.
but it was a fun experience and it's cool to see behind the scenes and get a sneak peek into some of the gags and how some of the different effects that the ride has work. But one thing did happen here, and we'll talk about this a little bit later. Now, generally speaking, it's not 100% all the time, but when you are evacuated off a ride vehicle, they like to pay it forward at Disney. So a cast member actually gave us both a free lightning lane, and we debated long and hard about whether or not we were going to use this. We'll get to that a little bit later, but without paying for it, we were both given 1 free lightning lane access to a limited number of rides. They invited us to come back later for Roger Rabbit, or there was a list about, I think, 5 rides that we could ride on. So more on that in a little bit, but we counted Roger Rabbit as done, and then we walked right next door to Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railroad.
One of my favorites.
Railway?
Railway.
Runaway Railway.
Railway.
That's a tongue twister. Roll the clip.
Roll the clip.
Okay, guys, so we were evac'd off Roger Rabbit, but they gave us a lightning lane to come back later, or they said we could use a list of other rides. So I don't know if that counts. We said no lightning lanes. You guys decide. We may or may not use it, but now we're on Runaway Railroad. This is ride number 10, and we're getting pretty hungry, so maybe lunch after this.
One of my favorites. Let's go.
Ride number 10.
Nothing can stop us now! We have to stop them before they go over them!
Such a good ride.
rolled?
I hope it's
it
rolled.
roll?
Such a good ride. Wasn't that great? Wasn't that clip awesome? Such a good ride. Honestly, we're huge, huge fans. It's an amazing pre-show. We had only ridden it for the first time just a couple of months ago, even though it's been open for over a year and a half now. And every time we go on it, we have such a good time. So if you haven't ridden that one yet,
go
please, y'all.
immediately.
I know it's in Toontown, but it's not just a children's
much
attraction.
fun.
It's for everyone. And we heard that several times from other people in other queues.
Yeah.
So after that, we then walked right on over to Chippendale's roller coaster.
Roll the clip.
Nothing can stop us now.
Okay, officially done with Mickey's Runaway Railroad. Now we're going over to Chippendale's, which I don't think there's a maximum height, but we're about to find out.
6'8".
But we are on ride 10, and Chippendale will make 11. After that, who knows? I think we're gonna go mop up the rest of Fantasyland to continue on with riding every ride in one day. No lightning lane, no single rider.
Let's go.
such a good clip. Another great clip.
At first, I thought, because he's 6'8", I didn't think he'd be allowed on it. So I'm like, well, does that count on the ride if it's just me? But
we didn't know if there was a maximum height. There is no maximum height on Chippendales.
They just suggest you keep your hands down.
Yeah, and they give you your own personal acorn rather than share with a buddy.
Which, watching him get into a small acorn was the highlight of my day.
Yeah, it was definitely a little bit of a mission. But all's well that ends well. That ride unexpectedly took a lot longer to queue than we expected.
Yeah.
So just bringing us up to speed here, we were on Matterhorn at 10:16. We were on the Teacups at 10:45. We were on Roger Rabbit at 11:17. We were on Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway at 11:45. And then we were at Chippendale by 12:30. But it took us a full 30 minutes to ride. The ride itself is very quick.
It's only like 2 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's less than 2 minutes if you actually track it. But the queue itself took us about a full half an hour. And then we ran right on back to Fantasyland, hoping that now we could finally finish Fantasyland, because Toontown is done. We were going to finish up Fantasyland. So we got in line for the Storybook Canals.
Really long line. Oh, wait, no, that's not that one.
No.
That one was
Storybook
actually
Canals
not
is
bad.
pretty quick and it's delightful. If it's
It
been
was
a minute,
so cute.
If it's been a minute since you've ridden it, we highly recommend. There were a lot of scenes that actually they've added since I was a kid.
Frozen.
Spoiler alert. They added Arendelle. But it's a great ride. It's very calm. It's just enjoyable. And the cast members all do a great job narrating. So really, really fun experience. And I'm Dutch, so we love a good canal boat. It's only a 10-minute wait for the storybook boats, and it's been a 20, 30-minute wait all day, so we're doing the boats.
Away we go.
Where do we go?
Right there. No, go back.
Allegedly.
Hello, and welcome aboard, friends. My name is Jose, and I'll be your captain and storyteller today aboard the SS Hawaii.
All right, so Storybook we were on at 1 p.m.
Yes.
And then it was time for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, which was now open. The queue wasn't too bad. So by 1:15, we were in the queue for Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Which was a wild ride. Roll the clip.
A short ride, though. I think this might be the shortest ride in the entire park, but Chippendale gives it a run for its money.
Roll the clip.
All right, so Storybook is done. That was super quick. And now I think we're going to go do Toads and maybe the carousel. At this point, we're just saving Snow White for last, which might be another mistake, but flying by the seat of our pants. But I think we're going to do Toad because it looked like only a 15, maybe a little bit more minute wait.
Away we go.
Guilty! Thank you, that is all.
All right, that was Toads, and we got Mr. Toad's automobile. So now we're going to go back to Snow White for our Snow White do-over.
Let's go.
All right, how was the clip, y'all?
Okay, so after Mr. Toad, Snow White was also back up and running. So we were now back to our plan. We wanted to conquer Fantasyland. So we made our way over to Snow White, and we hopped on Snow White at 1:35. So Snow White is only 10 minutes, so we're heading straight there. And it is actually getting really hot and sunny, which is really nice. But 10 minutes for Snow White, shortest it's been since it closed down. Let's try. So after Snow White was done, then we decided to go over to Casey's and take a ride on Casey's train.
That one was a deceiving one.
So,
oh boy.
This is really, really important. They update the app and they update ride times as best as they can. But on busy days, sometimes there's unforeseen circumstances. You might see your app and see a predicted ride time or queue estimate. But then when you actually go to wait, that queue can be getting longer and longer as you're literally standing in line. So Casey's train, Casey Jr., was only supposed to be a 15-minute wait. We ended up waiting for Casey Jr. for 35 minutes, and it was a hot one, people.
Yeah.
So just always be in communication with cast members, always be rechecking your app. If you are trying to ride every ride, or if you're not and you're just not interested in waiting in long queues for the day, always be checking, people. Just keep hitting that refresh button, because by the time we realized Casey Jr. wasn't going to be a 15-minute wait, that it was going to be 35 minutes, 25 minutes had already passed, and then at that point,
you just kind of have to go with it.
buy the ticket, take the ride, as they say.
All right, roll that clip.
So we're finally on Casey's. It said 15 minutes, but it was a lot more like 35, which that's what the app said after it updated. But we're on Casey's, so we're going to try to keep it moving. But 35 minutes to wait for Casey's took quite a bit.
We're back.
Another great ride. We honestly were big fans of Casey's.
It was cute. I haven't been on it since I was a kid. So.
And there was another family. It was this little kid's birthday. He was so excited. He loves trains. That was his big ride of the day. So we tried to help make it a little bit more special, but that was a fun one.
It was.
So now after Casey Jr., something else happened. That is Dumbo, people. Do not...
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, do not underestimate the queue times for Dumbo. We were watching it the entire time because the Casey Jr. queue is right next to the Dumbo queue. Dumbo was going to be an hour-long wait, and it was just not in the cards for us to wait for anything for an hour. All right, we are not making the same mistake twice. We are not waiting for Dumbo. We're doing this carousel, and then we're getting out of here to Tomorrowland. Dre got Lillian's horse. We got Lillian's horse. It's a good day. Unfortunately, we weren't able to finish Fantasyland. We also still owed Alice in Wonderland, so we knew we were coming back this way anyway if we weren't going to go hit Alice. So instead, we decided to cut all the costs and head on over to Tomorrowland after all, where we went on Finding Nemo.
Roll the clip.
So that's a big note. Alice said it was 25, but it looked a whole lot more like 45.
Right.
So we have to come back for Dumbo anyway. We're gonna ditch it here, and we're gonna head to the submarines at Finding Nemo, and then just conquer Tomorrowland and see where we end up from there.
See
But
ya.
keep it moving.
Activating aquacam.
Right. All ahead 1/3.
All ahead, 1/3.
Stand by to dive.
Diving stations.
Pressure in the boat.
Rescue readings are normal.
Flood the main ballast tanks.
Flooding main tanks. And venting auxiliaries.
Let's take her down.
Aye, Captain.
Dive.
Okay, the clip for that one might be a little different than you're expecting.
Yes.
So the queue time for Finding Nemo Submarine Adventure was pretty much a walk-on. So instead of electing to actually go on the submarine itself, I get a little claustrophobic sometimes, you know, germs are still a bit of a
big.
thing. I'm very tall, so, you know, there's another option for you. If you're a member of DAS, which is the Disney Access Service for people with disabilities, or if you're just like me, you know, a little bit bigger, or you don't want to ride the submarine, there is what's called the Observation Outpost. All you have to do is walk up to the front of the line, talk to the first cast member you see, and just ask them, is the observation outpost available? And instead of actually stepping into the submarine and riding around the lagoon, they'll walk you over to a separate room just off to the side. And in there, it's a private room. It's themed to look like a locker room, so there's some cool art and some cool theming and design in that room. And there's a massive television screen that will actually give you a first-person ride POV from the window of the submarine.
It was amazing. I had never done that. Very shocking, because it's essentially the same thing everybody else is seeing on the submarine.
It's literally like they brought a camera into the submarine and they just filmed through a porthole.
So cute.
So you really feel like you feel all the immersion. There's surround sound in the room, so you're still getting air conditioning. That's a big one. But you're still getting the whole experience without any of the claustrophobia or teeny tiny spaces.
So roll that clip, sir.
The
Does it smell kind of wheelish to you? Is it me? That's funny. Sounded like, hold on tight. I'm gonna.
All right, so keeping us honest here, we were on Snow White, remember, at 1:35. We then were in line for Casey's at 1:48. That queue was a lot longer than we expected, so we didn't queue for Finding Nemo until 2:35. And Finding Nemo now was ride number 16 of our day. So moving on to ride number 17 is Buzz Lightyear.
Galactic Alliance. The evil Emperor Zurg. Squadron, destroy Zurg's secret weapon. We've got Zurg on the run. Blast him with everything you've got.
Such a good clip.
Did you see how I beat him?
I don't think that was in the clip.
It's always in the clip.
That's not in the clip. All right, so after that, we then wanted to try to finish up as much of Tomorrowland as we could. The idea being we were going to finish Tomorrowland, then go pick up Dumbo and Alice in Wonderland in Fantasyland before making our way to Bayou Country. But we got in line for Star Tours, and while we had waited for about 5 to 7 minutes, the intercom came on and it said that the ride had temporarily closed.
Our luck that day was just incredible.
But again, it's because we were riding every single ride, you know?
And it's also an older ride.
It is a little bit of an older ride, but you know, there's this whole theory about 8.5 rides per park guest is peak enjoyment for your day. That rings about true for our general experiences.
Yeah.
When we go to the park, we don't tend to ride more than 8 to 10 rides.
No.
But doing every ride in one day, we were bound to come across just 1 or 2 hiccups. And
I think we had a few hiccups.
Yeah, we had more like 5 or 6 hiccups, but there were some hiccups. So Star Tours was closed down. We decided to not wait around because, again, not a lot of time to waste. So instead, we headed over to Alice in Wonderland because now was the time to finally finish Fantasyland.
Roll the clip.
So here's the update. We did stop. We got some chicken tenders from Tomorrowland Cafe. And in that time, Autopia went from about 10 minutes to now half an hour. So basically all of Tomorrowland is at least a 30-minute wait, including Astro Orbiter, which we still owe. So we're going to go back to Fantasyland. We're going to finally finish Fantasyland. Then we're going to see if we're going all the way over to the Bayou or if we're going to finish out tomorrow. But we're just rolling with it at this point. But I guess, I mean, if we're proving that an average family can ride every ride in one day, we had to include 1 meal break. So everybody gets one, just like Spider-Man said. All right, on to Dumbo or Alice. We'll see whatever one looks less painful right now.
Wait! It went this way. No, that way. I'm late. A very important date. I'd like to say hello, goodbye, and later.
All right, that was 19, Alice in Wonderland. After this, we're going to Dumbo. That was Alice in Wonderland. What a great clip. I really hope these clips are rolling.
I hope so.
So, we were in the queue for Alice at 4:10. It was about a 25-minute queue, and that held pretty true. The ride itself is just under 5 minutes. So then, after that, we finally decided to tackle Dumbo.
Tackle Dumbo?
Tackle Dumbo, which now wasn't an hour-long queue and was only about half an hour. So we jumped in line for Dumbo.
The lowest it was all day, to be honest.
Yeah, Dumbo is a very popular ride. Do not underestimate Fantasyland, and do not underestimate Dumbo, people.
And Peter Pan. Those two are the most popular.
So Dumbo was 4:37, and
roll the clip.
All right, so we're in line for Dumbo. It's the shortest wait we've seen basically since this morning. It says 25 minutes, but it doesn't really look like 25 minutes. We'll find out. It's been a long time since we've both been on Dumbo, but Alice was 20, so Dumbo is 21, and I think that means we're 10 or less to go. We'll see. All right, so with Dumbo tackled, we had now finished all of Fantasyland. So keeping us honest here, we had done Batuu, Star Wars Land already. We had done all of Toontown already, so Toontown was done.
Frontierland.
Well, that's still to come. We had all of Fantasyland, so all that remained for us was the rest of Tomorrowland. We still had a couple rides there. Then we had to do Bayou Country, and then finish out in Adventureland. So we decided then to head on over to Autopia, and we rode Autopia, which was a very quick wait. It was only about 10 minutes long, and hopefully there's a clip.
Do you have lightning
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Whoa! First red card of the day, people. Wow, really getting the full Disney experience. But first line card had to happen eventually. Riding every ride in one day, bound to happen. For 21, ride 21, Autotopia. Here we go! Autotopia. So much road rage. So much road rage.
You're so slow.
Yeah. So after that, we made our way over to Space Mountain and we got in line for Space Mountain. Space Mountain now was one of those rides that maybe, hindsight 2020, we would have done a little differently.
Yeah.
Throughout a lot of the morning, up until I'd say about noon, the ride time was, the queue time was only about 15 minutes long.
Amazing queue times.
By the time we actually got into the queue for Space Mountain, now we got into the queue at 5:48. It was basically a 45 minute queue time.
Yeah.
The estimate was 55, so it was faster than they led us to believe, but it still took us a long time, and I think this was our longest queue of the whole day. We got very lucky, you'll see, for some of our later rides, but for this ride, I think this was the longest we waited. And we did wait about a full 45 minutes.
Oh, maybe, yeah, because I was thinking about Casey, but...
That was amazing. I was such a good driver.
So that was Autotopia, which I think was 21. Pretty sure it was 21. Now we only have 2 rides left in Tomorrowland. That is Space Mountain and Astro Orbiter. So we're gonna bite the bullet. We're just gonna do Space Mountain, guys. So
Let's go.
I guess we'll see you in like an hour because I think the wait is like 50 minutes. So wish us luck, but. So the official count puts Space Mountain at 22 for the day. That leaves 7 to go, 8 if you include Swiss Family Treehouse.
Which I don't want to anymore.
Yeah, I think I might just speed run it. We'll see. Right now we're heading to Star Tours and then Astro Orbiter. We then made our way back over to Star Tours, which was now open. We hopped on Star Tours, and that was a really quick queue. It was only about 10 to 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
So we hopped into Star Tours. We rode Star Tours, and
here's our clip.
well, there's not really a clip for this
No,
one because you
that's
can't
really
film the
not.
actual show because it's 3D.
But we did it.
Before and after, we have some clips.
Or set sail on the Toon Sea in a luxurious sail barge.
All right, so that was Star Tours, and I finally got Mandalorian and Grogu. I've only gotten Cassian Andor up until this point, so that was a nice surprise. What wasn't a nice surprise is I think I left my sunglasses over at Space Mountain. So back to Space Mountain. After that, Astro Orbiter should be a walk on at this point, but I don't know, guys, what to say. It's 23 rides. We're really starting to lose it. And we got them. They have been
Go home with me.
They have been recovered. We are running to Astro Orbiter now because we just have a few rides left in our day, and we're trying to ride them all. But at least we got the glasses back. Okay, so Astro Orbiter said it only had a 15-minute wait. That was definitely more like 30 or half hour, which is the same thing. So we're running over to Indiana Jones, which had closed but is now reopened because the queue is no longer an hour. It's only 30 minutes, so it's not getting better than that. And keep an eye out for this, people. This is where your app really comes in handy. When rides go down, a lot of people like ourselves exit that queue, or they have to shut down the queue altogether if they don't know how long the ride is going to take to fix. In this instance, the entire queue of Indiana Jones, which at that point had been about an hour, completely evacuated the ride. So we rushed from Astro Orbiters over to Indiana Jones, and we jumped in line for Indy, where we only had to wait about 15 minutes.
And we made friends there too, which
We
was
made
fun.
some friends, but we were in the queue for Indy at 7:10,
Yeah.
and we were off that ride by 7:30, 7:35. So super, super quick, and roll the clip.
You look into my eyes. Your path now leads to the gates of doom.
Rolling, rolling,
Wow,
rolling.
these clips are just playing seamlessly.
amazing.
I'm so impressed by the video integration. in this
What a
episode.
cinematographer.
All right, so after Indy, we were then already in the vicinity of Jungle Cruise, so we decided to walk on over to Jungle
that
Cruise.
was a walk-on.
And that was a walk-on. There was zero wait whatsoever. It said 15 minutes on the board, but it was A true walk-on.
Just.
And I had not actually ridden Jungle Cruise at night, so it was great to see Jungle Cruise at night, which was super fun. So we rode Jungle Cruise, and here's some selected clips from that. So we just did Indy, now we're on to Jungle Cruise. We've got 5 rides left. 5 rides, and we've done every ride that was open today in the park. 5 rides.
Yeah, folks, those tigers can jump over 30 feet. Yeah, but don't worry, folks, only 15 feet away. Yeah, he'll just jump over. Look for luck. You'll see all those caterpillars right there. Wow. They really are what they used to be. Backside of water! Woo! Yeah!
All right, so we're feeling it now, guys, but Jungle Cruise is down, Indy is down, and I think we're gonna pull our trump card. We're gonna use the free lightning lane we got with Roger Rabbit to go on Pirates, to try to walk on that before we go on Tiana, then Pooh, and then end our night with Astro Orbiter. So, home stretch, people. Oh, and I think I still have to jog through the Swiss Family Treehouse, but Dre's super excited for that one.
No.
So that was short-lived. Pirates of the Caribbean, as we walked up, just closed down, but we still have that lightning lane, and I think we're going to use it if we have to. But in the meantime, we're going to go to Pooh and Tiana to just finally wrap up that side of the park before making our way back towards Astro Orbiter and the exit. But we're doing them all. Now, here's where we have to tell you about the one ride we were not able to go on in our day of riding every single ride. There was one major ride closure, apart from things like the Disneyland Railroad, which we considered to be more of an attraction, less of a ride.
Haunted Mansion was closed.
Haunted Mansion was the major closure of the day. So we knew going into our day that we were never going to get to ride Haunted Mansion because it was already undergoing theming to go from its holiday edition back to its normal edition after a year and a half. So we made our way over to Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh had no queue, and Tiana also had no queue.
No, Tiana had a queue. Tiana's queue was about a 50-minute queue. And so we thought, oh, because it was, by the time we got to Pooh, it was maybe 7.
No, it was mostly a walk-on for Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, so it was about 7:55, and so we ran. We're like, and I love Winnie the Pooh. So we went on, and it was only a few minutes, and got on to Winnie the Pooh, which was 8 o'clock.
And we can roll the clip.
Rolling, rolling, rolling.
Help! Please!
We'll save you, Piglet!
Mighty Pooh! Hooray! Happy birthday! Hooray! Hooray! Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Pooh!
We decided to do Pooh first, that way we're not doing it when we're wet. But Tiana is a 10-minute walk-on, so we're gonna hit these back-to-back as fast as humanly possible. And then hopefully by then, Pirates is open, we can lightning lane that, and then off to Astro Orbiter, then to Toy Story parking lot to wrap this up.
I hope you enjoyed that.
So, we were in the queue for Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
It was effectively a walk-on. I think we waited 5 to 10 minutes max.
Yeah.
But we were in the queue for Winnie the Pooh at 8. Now, this is where our hiccup came. What we didn't know, and what I don't think is very clearly advertised, because there were several disgruntled people now queuing in front of Tiana's Bayou Adventure. During the weekdays, because it's winter, Tiana's Bayou Adventure closes at 8 o'clock. Generally, it'll stay open until the park closes, along with all the other rides, which on the weekends is about midnight, I think, still.
Yeah.
But during the weekday, even though the park is open till 10, they do close Tiana's Bayou Adventure at 8 p.m. And I think that also includes special events. So right now, Sweethearts Night is taking place. I still think if you're going to Sweethearts Night and the park is opened later for extended hours for Sweethearts Night, still, Tiana's Bayou closes at 8 p.m.
Just a little disappointing because, you know.
That was the one ride, and again, it was outside of our control.
Yeah.
We didn't know this going in, otherwise we would have sort of changed our game plan. But the plan was always to save Tiana's for very close to the end of our day.
Because I don't want to be wet all day.
Yeah, riding any rides in wet shoes isn't a fun experience.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd save it. Little did we know you can't save it for that late. So we did not get to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
That would have made our 27th ride, but we had to unfortunately pivot. So from Pooh, we went...
Well, so I think there's a clip for that. Roll the clip. So, this is news to us. Otherwise, this would have changed, honestly, half of our whole strategy. On the weekdays, I guess Tiana now closes at 8 p.m. On the weekends, it's open till midnight along with the rest of the park. What that means is it is now 8:12. We chose to do Winnie the Pooh before Tiana's Bayou. Had we walked into Tiana's Bayou, we probably would have been the last ones to ride. But now that we've done Pooh, that was a walk-on, so we got in and out in 10 minutes. Now Tiana is closed, so no Tiana today. It's hard to fault ourselves. I've never heard of this rule. This is a first that I'm hearing about this, but unfortunately, Tiana's Bayou's closed. So if you're coming on a weekday, there's a lot of frustrated guests at the park right now because it's not really signed, it's not really posted anywhere, and that's never been relayed to us, and we come here quite a bit. But on the weekdays, it does now close at 8 p.m. On the weekends, it's open till midnight with the rest of the park. So just a heads up, be aware. Unfortunately, we're not able to go on it tonight, so cross that off the list. That leaves Pirates and Astro Orbiter as our last two rides.
Let's go.
That was a great clip.
Now, so after doing Winnie the Pooh and then not being able to get onto Tiana's Bayou Adventure, we then made our way over to Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, Pirates of the Caribbean, as we were moving from Jungle Cruise to Winnie the Pooh, we'd seen that there was actually a closure there. They had evacuated the whole line, they'd shut the entire ride down, and it just so happened that because we weren't able to ride Tiana's, Pirates of the Caribbean was reopening perfectly as we were walking right on by it. So we did use our lightning lane access here.
Which was not necessary.
But we didn't need to, people. We didn't need to use it.
We literally walked on and we're like, do we just use it just to use it? Because otherwise it goes to waste.
But there was a 0-minute wait for the general queue, and there was a 0-minute wait for lightning lane. So we decided to do it. We had it. It was free, so we used it. And we weren't able to use it for our final rides of the evening, which were going to be Swiss Family Treehouse and Astro Orbiter. So we just decided, why not? We'll use the lightning lane.
Especially because it wasn't, there wasn't an actual line for standby.
So
it kind of just went. So
roll
here it is.
Roll the clip.
It's Jack Sparrow in a fortunate hole. Put up your white flag, you scurvy scum.
Rascals and scoundrels, villains and knaves, drink up me hard and show ho. The devils and black sheep, really bad eggs, drink up me hard and show ho. Drink up, lads. There's treasure enough for all.
Okay, so that was Pirates of the Caribbean, and as penance, I have agreed to run the Swiss Family Treehouse. So I'm gonna go up and down because I feel like I owe this mission one more ride, other than Astro Orbiters, which is going to be our last ride, guys. But as penance for you, we're gonna run the Swiss Family Treehouse. The things we do.
Why you gotta do me like that?
All right, so that was Pirates. Now, like I said, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, we weren't able to ride. So we had been debating throughout the day if Swiss Family Treehouse counts as a ride or as an attraction. What we decided is that it was an attraction, like the Tiki Room, like the train or the monorail. It's really more of an attraction rather than what we would consider to be a ride. But as penance, we did decide we were gonna walk all of the Swiss Family Treehouse. So we did just that. We walked the entire treehouse. Of course, there's never really a wait there.
No.
After a long day of walking, as much as we had, it was a lot.
It was great at night, though, I have to say, because you can see
pretty.
the entire park, really.
Yeah, it's great views
with all
of the
the
park,
lights
and the Mark
everything.
Twain was all lit up. So
it was really pretty.
It was a really nice
worth it.
experience. Yeah.
Roll the clip.
I don't know if there's a clip for this one. Is there a clip?
It looks good.
Was there a clip?
Well, that would take us to 8:35.
Yep. So we, just to recap, Pooh was 8 p.m., then no Tiana's for us. So then we were in line for Pirates at 8:20, and then we were at Swiss Family Treehouse at 8:35. Took us about 5 minutes to walk the whole treehouse. And then we made our way over to what would end up being our last ride of the evening, which was kind of nice, Astro Orbiters back in Tomorrowland. As we cross over Main Street one last time to head back to Tomorrowland, we did way more world jumping than we expected to today.
Shouldn't have.
But we are heading to our last ride, that's Astro Orbiters. 10-minute wait, allegedly, we'll go see, but that'll wrap it up for us. So let's go ride Astro Orbiters and literally fly a victory lap. 29 rides in one single day, guys. Every single ride at Disneyland. All right, everybody. So it is now time for the long walk back to the buses to the Toy Story parking lot. But that was it. 28 rides in one single day. Every single ride that was open today we did, except for Tiana, but we'll talk about that back home in the cellar. Plus we did Swiss Family Treehouse to kind of make up for it, so call it 29 rides in one day. It's been a rush, it's been a ride. We have a lot to go over, but we'll do it all back home in the cellar. For now, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. I'm Parker. This is not the Disney Cellar, but we hope you have a magical day. So what we wanted to do now is just leave you with a few tips and tricks, a few things that we learned along the way, and just some things we had to use in order to make the most out of our day. So the first thing I'll mention is we only had one food break, like we talked about, only stopped for one proper sit-down meal. So pack snacks.
Lots of snacks.
We had lots of snacks. We were able to eat bites as we were in lines. Definitely maximize your line time. On that same note, we also used line time to swap out for the restroom. So I would hop in a line, she would run to the restroom, come join me, and then on the next ride, we would swap. She would wait in line, I would run to the restroom.
It actually worked really well.
Yeah, I don't know where you fall on the line of, have your whole party together, but we did definitely abuse the system.
If you have kids, it's a lot different, but we're, just the two of us, we can get away with a lot more.
Yeah, so we did definitely once or twice have to use the bathroom strategy for our lines. Now, other than that, I have to say it again, definitely go in with a game plan, but be prepared to pivot. Be prepared to change your plan. Like I said, we thought we knew everything going into this day, and then literally the first ride we were going on wasn't open, so we had to change, and that's okay. On that same note, please always practice patience with the cast members. They're not in control of these situations.
No, they're not.
Just because a ride goes down or there's a closure, it's okay. There'll still be time to ride. As you've seen in this video, there were a lot of ride closures and a lot of road bumps on our journey to riding every ride in one day. We still were able to make it with time left over.
And have a good time.
Exactly, but please
don't get bummed out about it. It is what it is.
And don't take it out on the cast members.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. They're there to give you the most magical experience possible. So by that same coin, return the favor. Try to give them a magical day too.
All right, what's our next one?
So other than that, don't underestimate Fantasyland.
Yeah, no.
Please don't. It's a big hurdle. I would be curious next time if we ever try to attempt this again, maybe doing Fantasyland first. But like I said, because of early entry being limited to Tomorrowland and Fantasyland, sometimes those queue times in Fantasyland can be really long, whereas other rides in Adventureland or Star Wars Batuu, those can be shorter because you can't early access them.
But we'll try it out.
Now, other than that, we did regret not going on Space Mountain earlier. Maybe try to tackle Space Mountain earlier because
that line doesn't really change. Like, it gets worse throughout the day.
And
so
any
if
ride
you
that's
see
an
it
hour-long queue, if you have to wait an hour
go.
for anything, that's going to impact your day greatly as it did ours. So be careful of those hour-long wait times. We got really lucky with Indy and we got really lucky with Pirates because Indy can easily be an hour and Pirates can easily be half an hour for their queues. We both got lucky in that we were looking at our apps. We got in right after they reopened. So also check your app and always try to go jump into a queue for a ride that has just reopened because ride times, even if they're predicted to be longer, generally are a lot shorter.
And I think our last one is we walked more than we needed. I think we bounced everywhere all the time, freaking out, pivoting. To be a little bit more strategical in your movements across the park.
I think we definitely doubled down on Fantasyland in a couple areas more than we needed to. But again, we were just trying to be flexible. We were trying to follow the app and try to find shorter ride times. But people, wear comfortable footwear. Be prepared to walk. Whether you are sticking to your plan, whether you are able to conquer each land as they come, or if you're zigzagging across the park like we were, you're going to walk a lot. Expect to walk at least 10 miles in your day, if not way more than that, as we did. I think out the door we were about 18 miles total that day.
I don't understand how that happened.
It's a big park. I mean, not as big as Disney World, but it's a big park. So comfortable footwear is your friend. Yes. But that was our best day ever. That was our every ride at Disneyland in one day. Thank you so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed.
And yeah, we hope you have a magical day.
And if you're going to do it yourself, best of luck. May the force be with you.
You're definitely going to need it.
Yeah. Until next time, this is the Disney Cellar as always. I'm Parker.
And I'm Dre.
And we hope you have a magical day. And seriously, good luck, because you're going to need it.